Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to be painting the iris flower, and today we're working from a reference photo of a beautiful kind of a purple iris that I really thought looked beautiful, and we'll just focus on the iris alone because there's so much going on. We're going to paint one single iris. I'm going to be using water mixable oil, mainly the Cobra mixable, and some palette knife and some paintbrush. So let's just jump in. Mixable medium here. It's called the Cobra glazing medium, but just use a tiny dab. So I'll put a little, just a little tiny dab out there on my palette, because you don't want to use too much or it can start to really dominate your painting. It can get too, just like if you're using, you know, your regular terp with your regular oil paints, it would get kind of too slick. So I put a little bit out in to get that first kind of layer down, and then I won't use it too much. So I want to get that really vivid. It's such a beautiful, glowy, kind of green, yellow color. Well, green gold is, I think, what it is. Transparent yellow green, sorry. It looks just like in regular oil paint. Winsor Newton, I think it is, has a green gold. So I'm always experimenting with colors that come out with Cobra water mixable oil, or sometimes I buy the Duo Aqua brand. It's also really good. It's by Holbein, so another super high quality brand. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that out there, and then I'm going to go and block out sort of where I want the iris to go. So we're just kind of going to do this one flower today. I sometimes get, my videos I feel can get too long. You can always give me tips and advice for what you think. If my videos are, if you like the long format better, or if you like the shorter format, just don't, hesitate to leave me comments, because I'm new to you, really focusing on YouTube, and I always like to, hear some good critique on. And if you like them both, that's fine too. So I'm just kind of lifting off some of that color where the iris is gonna go, and then I'm gonna go back with my brush. I'm going to start with my brush and then build up to the palette knife. And I've got out this beautiful quinacridone purple bluish. I've also got out this permanent rose. So I figured between those two I'll get that sort of purpley, pinky color that's in the petals that are the base of the flower, like the very bottom there. So I'm going to first block in with a little bit of that. That one there has a bit of it, but then it goes into more of the light blue. So I'll just put a little bit of that in. And I'll go in and grab some of that bluish violet color, and I'll try to put those links in the description for you. Okay, so I'm just going to block in, leave that where there's a little bit more of that pink color there for now. And same with this one, just use the put the back end of that in. Okay, and then I'm going to just rinse my brush. I'll rinse it over here. Sometimes I rinse it too close to my microphone and then everyone's like, well, doesn't like that noise, so. Now I'm going to use this cobalt blue and I'm just going to block in some of that bluey purple color, so I'll add a little bit of that pinky rose color there to it. And I'm just going to block in that kind of bluey pinky leaf that goes up there. And I haven't added any white to the mixture yet, so that'll come. I just want to kind of set the stage for all that my palette knife work that I'm going to do. And then put in some of that blue for that iris petal there. And I'm just looking at the shape and just sort of marking out where that goes, where I feel like everything's kind of going there. Okay, and now I can sort of start using my palette knife to mix the colors, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I may use my brush a little more, but at this point I could probably start using some of my palette knife. You can always kind of wipe away some of the dark paint just to give yourself a little bit of a almost like a map of where the highlights are going. That can help inspire you a bit. Sometimes it helps me to see some of the lighter marks in the iris flower there, or whatever flower you're working on. And you can kind of soften up some of those edges. Just take your, I'm using a Viva paper towel, and I sometimes like to, in the early stage, even soften some of those edges. Okay, so now I'm going to get some white, mix it into that. So you can make your own violet color using that permanent rose, or if you have quinacridone red and cobalt blue, you can make that nice kind of lavendery bluey pinky color. Just the more you mix pink in, the more kind of magenta it will go, and then the more you leave it blue, you'll get more of that blue. So now I'm just gonna start putting down some of this palette knife, and like I've said, this year has been the year I've been really trying to loosen up, so I'm not the expert at palette knife painting, but I'm just sort of going with the flow when I do it. So I'm putting in that sort of mid-tone color, and now I'm looking at the reference, and I'm going to put in a bit of that lighter blue color that kind of wraps around there. And even here I can put some. And I feel like when you paint with a palette knife, you're really forced to loosen up a lot. And that's kind of my goal for the year. And I thought while I do it, it's kind of fun to, as I learn, kind of pass that on to those of you out there who would like to try doing it too. It's something I've been asked to do a lot, and I've just never had the courage to really go out and do it, because you can kind of see that you can fall on your face trying to learn something a few times. Some things are easier than others to paint with a palette knife, so that also makes a difference. So now I'm looking at this part of the flower, this little bit of light in here. So I've got some of these cad yellow medium and cad yellow light. Oh, you didn't see that, it's up there. And I'll take a bit of that and some burnt sienna. Maybe start with the cad yellow medium and some burnt sienna. And just put a little, easier said than done, put a little dab of that in the middle there. And then I see a little bit of that yellow kind of coming out there on the flowers too. And then I'll just get a little bit, you can go with a little bit of this cad yellow light maybe, and give it a little bit more of a highlight there. And then I'll add the little there's a little white dab, so I'll just add a tiny bit of that yellow into it and just add that little white center there. And then I'm gonna go back to this pretty color I had here out earlier, and I can add a bit of that blue mixture into it. So I'm going to use that to kind of cool it down where there's some real kind of cool spots there. So that is that quinacridone purple bluish color. I'm just going to add a little bit of that down here. Just kind of look at where it shows up on the flower. And then there's kind of more of a cobalt, real cobalt blue element up here. I'm going to kind of put some of that in. And then okay, then I'm going to go back and add a little bit of white to that bluey purple mix just to get, and some more of that permanent rose, and put a little bit of that on. There's some on the edge there. And I want to just get that little pinky. There's some of those little highlights there that kind of go down the flower. Some lighter areas there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that light pink to some of the other parts of the flower, just for fun. I'll mix a little blue into it for, I don't want to change the color up top too much, but I'll add a little bit of that in there and make that lighter actually. a little bit of a highlight to that one. And some highlight down here. And then there's something in the shadows going on. I'll just add a little couple marks of, there's some stuff going on in here. I'll just put a few little bits of color in there so it's not just nothing going on there. Okay, so you can also just kind of add the center line back in a bit more. And then you can also use your palette knife to you can scratch away, and some of that underpaint shows through, and it can be kind of neat. So those are that's just sort of my, brief kind of example. You can use your paintbrush if you would rather do that and just follow along. But I hope you enjoyed this little quick demo on the iris flower. And on Patreon, I'll finish up the background a bit more for my Patreon members, so they'll get the extended version. And anyhow, you can look up all my other lessons there and become a member and support my channel through my Patreon, and that'll be in the description below. So anyways, I'm really glad you could watch this lesson, and I hope it helps you loosen up your floral paintings, and I hope you enjoy it. And look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!